Berlin, March 1943. The briefing room is underground, 60 feet below the Tiergarten, because the ceiling upstairs no longer exists. A chandelier of cracked crystal lies in the street like a dead star. But down here, under a vault of reinforced concrete that smells of coal dust and wet wool, Generalmajor Adolf Galland lights a cigarette with the hand that once pinned the Knight's Cross to his own collar. The flame trembles, not from the cold, from the film reel he has just spooled through the projector. On the frozen frame, a formation of B-17s, 17 of them cruising at 23,000 feet over Wilhelmshaven. The bombers are so perfectly spaced they look like calipers on a draftsman's table. Beneath them, the harbor's anti-aircraft guns are still firing, but the shells burst half a mile low, as if the flak crews are protesting gravity itself. Galland has watched this 60-second clip 9 times. He keeps pausing on the last second, on the moment the formation's nose guns glint in winter sun. That glint is what trembles his hand, because glint means polish, means factory. Factory means numbers, and numbers. Galland exhales smoke like a man admitting adultery. Numbers are the one language the Luftwaffe swore Americans would never speak. He turns to the map wall. Red pins show every Luftwaffe fighter airfield within striking distance of the coast. Blue pins show the new American bomber bases in East Anglia. The Reds outnumber the Blues 4-1. A staff officer, Major Hartmann, logistics, whispers what everyone is thinking. We still have more fighters. Galland doesn't answer. He lifts a blue pin and places it on the map anyway, exactly where the film froze. The pin clicks against the metal like a round being chambered. That click is the first crack in German confidence. It is microscopic. You would need a stethoscope pressed to the Reich's ribcage to hear it, but it is there. Rewind 18 months. September 1941. Rastenburg, East Prussia. Wolfsschanze. Hitler is pacing the Situation Room carpet while a Luftwaffe engineer projects slides of American aircraft production onto a white wall. The carpet is the color of dried blood. The Führer's boots leave no impression. Slide 1, a photograph of the Boeing plant at Seattle, taken by a Japanese diplomat in July. The factory floor is so long the far end vanishes into haze. In the foreground, a half-assembled B-17 looks like a skeletal cathedral. How many? Hitler asks. 4 per month, the engineer replies. A snort from Field Marshal Göring, who is buttering black bread at the table. By the time they reach 400, the war in the East will be over. Slide 2. A close-up of the Norden bomb site smuggled out by a sympathizer in the U.S. Army. The device is elegant, almost delicate, like a Swiss clock. The engineer explains its reputation. From 20,000 feet, it can drop a bomb into a pickle barrel. Göring licks butter from his thumb and laughs. Pickle barrels do not shoot back. Slide 3. A chart. American military expenditure, 1939-41. The bar graph climbs like a staircase, but the vertical axis is still shy of German rearmament in 1938. Hitler nods, satisfied. The carpet swallows the echo of his boots. What no one in the room asks is the only question that matters. How fast can that bar grow if the staircase becomes an elevator? They will learn. They are learning already in a windowless office in Berlin-Mitte, where a team of statisticians from the Oberkommando der Wehrmacht pores over U.S. Census industrial data smuggled through Lisbon. The lead analyst, Dr. Franz Halder, a man who collects railway timetables for leisure, has built a model. It is beautiful, all logarithmic curves and confidence intervals. It predicts American aircraft output in 1943 at 24,000 planes. Total, all types, fighters, transports, trainers, bombers. The model is peer-reviewed by 3 universities. It is flawless. It is also wrong by a factor of 2. Halder does not know this yet. What he knows is that the latest figure, leaked from the U.S., War Department shows 47,000 aircraft produced in 1942. His model insists this is propaganda. He rechecks the math. The model is innocent. The world is lying. He writes in the margin of his report, American figures must be inflated by factor 1.8 for political consumption. Then he signs his name in green ink, the color of certainty. That report will reach Galland's desk in March 1943, 12 hours after the Wilhelmshaven film. He will read the marginal note first, then watch the 17 bombers glide untouched across the harbor, and for the first time in his life he will feel the floor tilt beneath his jackboots. But we are not there yet. We are still in 1941 when the floor is level, and the future is a straight line extending eastward to the Urals. In that future, the Luftwaffe's own bombers are queens. The Heinkel 111, the Dornier 17, the Junkers 88, each conceived in the mid-30s for Schnellkrieg, for wars that last weeks, not years. Their bomb bays are sized for 2,000 kilograms of death, enough to terrorize Rotterdam or Warsaw. They are not built to cross oceans. They are not built to return with holes the size of barn doors. They are built for victory parades. American bombers, by contrast, are built for round trips. The B-17 carries 4 tons of bombs and enough fuel to fly from Maine to Berlin and back, and 12.50 caliber machine guns are ranged like a porcupine's quills. It is not an aircraft. It is a mobile siege engine. This difference is philosophical. German bombers are arrows. American bombers are crossbow bolts, heavier, slower, but designed to stay in the sky until the wall cracks. Galland understands this difference better than most. In 1940, he flew fighter escort for the Luftwaffe's daylight raids over London. He watched British Spitfires shred formation discipline like tissue paper. He vowed never again to send unescorted bombers in daylight. The memory is physical, the stick shaking in his gloved hands as the cockpit filled with the smell of glycol and cordite. Now, in 1943, he watches the Wilhelmshaven film and realizes the Americans are doing exactly what the Luftwaffe failed to do. They are bombing in daylight without fighter escort and surviving. Note, the 17 B-17s in the film dropped 80 bombs. Every single one missed the submarine pens. The flak gunners cheered. The local newspaper declared a triumph. But Galland keeps rewinding to the 30-second mark, to the moment the formation banks. Beneath the bombers, the harbor is a mirror of black water. In that mirror, he sees not the missed bombs, but the formation itself. Tight, unflinching, mathematical. He realizes, and the realization feels like swallowing ice, that the misses were not failures. They were calibrations. Somewhere in East Anglia, a navigator is logging wind drift, temperature, barrel wear. Somewhere a statistician is updating a chart. The next mission will be closer. The one after that, closer still. The bombs are not the message. The formation is the message. And the message is, we can come back tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. Galland stubs out his cigarette on the map table, leaving a brown scorch across the English Channel. He turns to Hartmann. How many bombers can they build in a month? Hartmann flips through the latest Abwehr report. The paper crackles like frost. 400. And how many can we shoot down? A pause. The pause that precedes either a lie or a confession. 40. Galland does the arithmetic. He is a fighter pilot. Numbers are not his native tongue, but this equation translates itself. They gain 360 bombers every 30 days. He looks again at the frozen frame. The 17 flying fortresses are still there, pinned to the sky like specimens in a lepidopterist's drawer. He feels the second crack widen inside his chest. Outside the bunker, Berlin is learning to sleep through sirens. Inside, Galland is learning insomnia. He walks to the situation map and unpins one of the red markers, Jagdgeschwader 26, his own squadron, and moves it 50 kilometers east, deeper into Germany. If we cannot stop them at the coast, he says, we will stop them over the Reich itself. Hartmann nods, but the nod is mechanical. Both men know the Reich has no ceiling. The sky is a funnel narrowing toward Berlin. What they do not yet know, what no German general will admit aloud until the war is lost, is that the funnel is not made of aluminium. It is made of time, American time. Welded Willow Run, riveted in Seattle, forged in the silence between Galland's heartbeats as he watches the 17 bombers turn for home. The film ends. The projector's fan whirs down. The room smells of hot celluloid and colder fear. Galland does not say, we are losing. He does not say, we were wrong. He simply pockets the reel as if the reel itself is classified. Because it is. The reel is the first clue that the war in the air is no longer a duel. It is a production schedule. And the schedule is printed in Detroit, not Berlin. He climbs the concrete stairs toward the night. Each step echoes like a typewriter key striking paper. Behind him, the map stays lit, red pins static, blue pins multiplying like mold on bread. Above him, the ceiling of the Reich, once a cathedral vault of invincibility, has become a timetable. And the timetable is written in bomber formation. Malayavan, Michigan, August 40. The factory is 1 mile long. A single rectangle of corrugated steel so flat the horizon bends away from it. Inside, the lights never go off. They glare 24 hours a day, a white fluorescence that bleaches shadows out of existence. Men on 8-hour shifts forget the color of night. Women wear trousers cinched with bandanas and rivet guns hung from their waists like sidearms. At Station 42, a B-24 Liberator is lowered onto its landing gear for the first time. The clock on the wall reads 63 minutes since the previous airframe rolled out. A foreman stamps a card, tears it, and hands the pink copy to a girl who has not yet turned 20. She has never been inside an airplane, but she has drilled 11,000 holes since March. She does not know it yet, but one of those holes will over Berlin carry a 1,000-pound bomb that will miss a ball-bearing plant by 18 inches and instead land on the office that keeps the personnel files of every Luftwaffe test pilot who ever mocked American engineering. Accuracy is accidental. Volume is sacred. The Liberator is pushed onto the apron where a crew of 5 waits. They have never met before this morning. The pilot is a former high school chemistry teacher from Sacramento. The co-pilot sold insurance in Tulsa. They were handed a checklist and a throttle quadrant and told the war would start while they were still climbing. The aircraft's nose is still unpainted. A mechanic climbs a ladder and stencils a name in cobalt blue, Berlin Express. The paint is still wet when the engines cough alive. 4 miles away, the Detroit River carries the sound across the water to Canada, a low, continuous thunder that does not stop. It is the sound of arithmetic becoming artillery. Rewind 2 weeks. Schweinfurt. Germany 0340, 17th August, 1943. The city sleeps inside a bowl of hills. The ball-bearing works. Kugelfischer is a lattice of pipes and chimneys that exhales a smell of hot oil and scorched iron. It produces 1.5 million bearings a month. Every German tank, every aircraft, every U-boat depends on those spheres the size of marbles. Without them, the Wehrmacht becomes a museum. At the flak tower, a teenage gunner named Franz Distel fingers a ring carved from an aluminium propeller blade. He has never seen an American bomber up close. He has been told they are clumsy, cowardly, easy prey. He believes this the way children believe the bogeyman fears the light. Above 23,000 feet, 376 B-17s approach, in a lattice so precise it looks drawn with a ruler. They are arranged in boxes 6 ships wide, 3 high, staggered so every machine gun can fire without hitting the friend ahead. The formation is not beautiful, it is geometric. Geometry is the language of inevitability. The first wave drops at 0406. 120 bombers release 480 bombs. The sound is not thunder. Thunder is too slow. It is a single metallic cough that flattens the air. Diestel watches the courtyard beneath him disappear under a quilt of explosions. He counts. 1, 2, 3. At 14, the pattern stops. The plant still stands. Smoke rises in a lazy question mark. He laughs a short, involuntary bark and swings his 88mm gun skyward. Then the second wave arrives. This time the bombs do not miss. A stick walks across the main hall, rupturing the roof like a zipper. A storage tank of cutting oil ignites. A river of fire pours into the basement where women are stamping lot numbers onto bearings. The temperature climbs above 1,000 degrees. Steel bearings glow cherry red and weld themselves together into a single, useless mass. Diestel keeps firing. Around him, the sky is suddenly full of American tracer, not sporadic, but layered. He sees a Messerschmitt 109 chase a bomber. The fighter's wing snaps off as if bitten. He does not understand what he is seeing. The box formation has turned the sky into a mobile fortress. Every bomber is a turret. Every turret is a coordinate in three-dimensional calculus. The Luftwaffe has brought swords to a geometry exam. By 0440, the raid is over. 36 B-17s do not return, but Kugelfischer production will fall by 46% for the rest of the year. More important and visible to Diestel is the photograph taken by the lead bomber's strike camera. It shows the bomb pattern walking exactly across the plant's blueprint. The photograph will reach England by nightfall. By morning, statisticians will update their wind drift tables. The next mission will be closer. Diestel climbs down the tower ladder. His ears bleed from the pressure. He does not notice. He is counting the number of bombers he personally saw. Too many to fit in the sky. He is wrong. The sky is not full of bombers. It is full of tomorrow. Fast forward 1 month. AF Bomber Command Headquarters, High Wycombe, 14 Sung, 15th of September 1943. Air Chief Marshal Arthur Harris stands over a mahogany table. On the table lies a captured Norden bomb site, dismantled like a corpse. British engineers have measured its gears to the 1,000th of an inch. Harris is not interested in gears. He is interested in rhythm. He has just read the Schweinfurt damage reports. He notices something the newspapers missed. The Americans missed on the first pass, then corrected on the second. That is not luck. That is feedback. He turns to a junior officer. How many bombers can the Yanks lose and still come back? The officer flips through a folder. 36 yesterday. They'll lose 40 next week. They'll still send 400. Harris exhales through his teeth, a sound like a file on steel. They are not bombing factories. They are bombing our assumptions. He is correct. The assumptions were drafted in 1937 in a white-walled room in Berlin, where Luftwaffe planners drew concentric circles around London and calculated how many tons of TNT would collapse British morale. They never drew circles around Detroit. They never imagined morale could be welded. Cut 2. A bar in Offutt Field, Nebraska, same afternoon. Captain Robert Rosenthal, 25, drinks a Coke from the bottle. He has just returned from Schweinfurt. His left hand is in a cast. Shrapnel shattered the metacarpal. A reporter asks how he feels about the raid. Rosenthal shrugs. We dropped the bombs where the map said was right. He says it the way a carpenter says the stud found the nail. The reporter wants drama. Rosenthal gives him coordinates. The reporter leaves disappointed. He does not realize he has just met the new face of warfare, a face that speaks in blueprints, not ballads. Back across the Atlantic, night has fallen over the Ruhr. In a cell beneath Dulag Luft, a prisoner of war camp for Allied aircrew, Oberleutnant Hans Joachim Marseille, once the Luftwaffe's Star of Africa, listens to the drone of engines overhead. It is not a raid, it is a transit. The bombers are flying east toward Berlin. Marseille counts the interval between engine beats. He recognizes the cadence. 4 right cyclones in tight synchronization. He has never heard so many at once. He closes his eyes and sees an assembly line that stretches across an ocean. He whispers to the darkness, "They are not flying. They are delivering." He is right. The delivery schedule is printed on a card pinned above a girl's workstation in Willow Run. It reads, "Target for September, 650 liberators. Actual, 662. The card is stamped in red ink, overachieved. The red ink will reach Berlin faster than any bomber. By October 1943, the arithmetic has become a drumbeat. Every week, the Reich Industrial Ministry receives a carbon copy of a report stamped U.S. aircraft production. The numbers are not secret. They are printed in the Detroit News. Page 6, between the baseball scores and the classified ads. The ministry clerks file them under propaganda disregard. But one clerk, a mathematician named Fräulein Lang, starts graphing the figures on squared paper. The curve is exponential. She overlays it on a map of Germany and notices the curve's trajectory intersects Berlin in March 1944. She shows the graph to her superior. He laughs the same laugh Diestel gave on the flak tower and pins it to the notice board under the heading American Braggadocio. The graph stays pinned there for 6 months. By the time it is taken down, Berlin's railway stations are rubble, and the notice board itself is missing. But we are not there yet. We are still in the autumn of 1943 when the Reich can still count its losses. In a white-tiled laboratory at Peenemünde, Werner von Braun studies the same Schweinfurt strike photographs. He is not interested in ball bearings, he is building rockets. But he notices something else. The bomb craters are oval, not round, the signature of bombs dropped from 24,000 feet. Not the 18,000 the Luftwaffe uses. He realizes the Americans are flying above the effective ceiling of Germany's best fighter, the FW-190. He does the trigonometry. To reach that altitude, a rocket would need an extra ton of fuel. He writes in the margin, "The sky is being stacked against us." He is correct. The stacking is happening in layers. Layer 1, the box formation, geometry. Layer 2, the Norden site, precision. Layer 3, the assembly line, volume. Layer 4, the calendar, time. Each layer is invisible alone. Together, they become a ceiling. By November 1943, the ceiling is lowering. Galland orders the creation of Storm Company's elite fighter groups equipped with armor-piercing ammunition and orders to ram if necessary. The pilots are volunteers. Their average age is 19. They train by attacking the wooden B-17 mock-ups, towed behind trucks on airfields near Prague. The mock-ups do not shoot back. The real bombers do. On 26 November, over Bremen, Storm Company 1 makes its debut. 30 FW-190s attack a single combat wing of B-17s. The Americans lose 15 bombers. The Germans lose 28 fighters. Among the dead is the company commander, whose last radio transmission is not a battle cry, but a question. Why do they keep coming? The question is not rhetorical. It is logistical. The answer arrives indirectly 2 days later, in the form of a freight train pulling into Cherbourg station. The train carries nothing but bearings. Schweinfurt ball bearings, salvaged from the wrecked plant, remachined in underground workshops, now en route to submarine pens on the Atlantic coast. The bearings are pitted scarred by fire and shrapnel. A quarter of them are oval, not round. They will seize within 100 hours of use. The foreman, unloading the crates, curses the American terror bombers. He does not realize he is holding the answer to the Storm Company commander's question. They keep coming because they have replaced the bearings in Detroit, in Willow Run, in a factory that never slept, in a country that does not count losses because it does not accept the concept of exhaustion. The foreman throws the oval bearings into the sea. The sea does not answer. But the sky does, and the sky is already full of tomorrow's bombers, welded by women who have never seen Germany, riveted by boys who have never heard of Schweinfurt, launched from runways that did not exist in 1941. The assembly line is not a place, it is a metronome. And the metronome is accelerating Berlin, 2010 of February, 1944, 09:12 a.m. The city is under a dome of frozen fog. Sunlight cannot get in, smoke cannot get out. On Hermann-Göringstrasse, the air tastes of coal dust and burnt paper. A woman in a fox fur coat clutches a loaf of bread as if it might fly away. Above her, the sky is not a sky. It is a ledger, pages turning every 60 seconds. Each page is printed with the silhouette of a B-17 or a B-24, and the ink is still wet. At the Hotel Kaiserhof, now the Luftwaffe Operations Annex Generalleutnant Adolf Galland stands before a map that has become a wound. Red slashes mark fighter airfields gutted in the last 4 days. Blue crosses mark American bomber formations. 169 sorties yesterday. 203 the day before. The crosses overlap until the map is more blue than white. Galland's aide, Major Hartmann, pins a new cross over Frankfurt. The pin goes in at an angle, like a nail through skin. Big week, the Americans call it. The Reich has no equivalent phrase. The Reich is inside it, inhaling it. Galland lights a cigarette with the same tarnished lighter he carried in France in 1940. The flame is steady. His hand is not. He has slept 90 minutes in 72 hours, not because there is no bed, but because sleep now feels like surrender. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees the same slide. A B-17 named Berlin Express, the very aircraft launched from Willow Run 6 months earlier. Flying above the Volkswagen works at 25,000 feet. The bombs fall in a rope. 1,200 pounds of TNT, each impact photographed, each crater measured, the measurements telegraphed to Detroit before midnight. The loop repeats, faster each time, until the bomber is no longer an aeroplane, but a metronome ticking inside his skull. He exhales smoke and addresses the room. His voice is hoarse, but the words are scalpel sharp. We are no longer defending territory. We are defending time, the 24 hours between there today and there tomorrow. If we fail, tomorrow arrives earlier. No one answers. Outside the window, a column of smoke rises from the Anhalter Bahnhof. A train loaded with ball bearings from Kugelfischer, patched, oval, fire-scarred, was hit at 08:47. The bearings are now molten droplets, solidifying on the platform like silver hail. The telephone rings. Hartmann lifts the receiver, listens, then places the handset back as if it is hot. Mi-110 production at Gotha, 40% destroyed. The assembly line is still burning. They use napalm. Galland does not swear. He does not move. He simply subtracts. 40% of Gotha's monthly output is 28 heavy fighters, 28 fewer aircraft to meet the next raid. The next raid is scheduled for tomorrow. He walks to the window. The glass is cracked in a spider's web. The city beyond is a negative image of the map inside. He presses 2 fingers to the pane. The glass is cold, but the vibration is warm, distant anti-aircraft guns firing in salvos that sound like a heartbeat. He realizes, and the realization arrives like a shard sliding into lung, that the guns are no longer defending Berlin. They are defending the idea of Berlin, a capital, a Reich, a mythology of invincibility. The idea is flammable. Behind him, a clerk pins a new photograph to the corkboard. It was taken at 07:15 from a reconnaissance He-111 flying above the clouds. The photo shows a bomber stream stretching from horizon to horizon, contrails braided like rope. Across the bottom margin, someone has penciled a single word, unendlich, infinite. Galland tears the photograph down, folds it twice, and places it inside his breast pocket over his heart, where the Knight's Cross once hung. O2 Pilot's Mess, JG-26 Rams, France, same afternoon. The room smells of paraffin and wet leather. Pilots' boys with old eyes sit on wooden benches, helmets cradled like broken eggs. On the table lies a chalkboard. Yesterday's sorties. 124 confirmed kills, 3 missing, 7. A pilot, Oberfeldwebel Klaus Miedecke, 2127 victory stands and addresses the Gruppe. His voice is flat, as if the words have been filed. I fired at a B-17 from 400 meters. My cannon shells bounced. I saw them spark off the wing like hailstones. I pulled up alongside the waist gunner, looked at me. He did not fire. He simply pointed to the next bomber in the box, as if to say, there are more of us than you have bullets. Miedecke sits. No one speaks. Outside, a truck engine coughs. The truck is delivering replacement aircraft. 3 Bf-109Gs fresh from Regensburg. The delivery is 2 days late, and the factory was hit on Wednesday. A mechanic enters carrying a dented machine gun belt. He drops it on the table. The belt is American, 50 caliber, recovered from a crashed fortress. Every 3rd round is a tracer. Every 5th round is armor-piercing. Every 10th round is incendiary. The sequence is printed on a paper tag tied with twine. Ratio optimized 1942-11-15 via statistical analysis. Right field. The tag is typed. The war has become accounting. Miedecke picks up a single round, holds it to the light. The brass casing reflects his face distorted. Elongated, infinite. He whispers, they have optimized us into extinction. 03 Peenemünde. Dusk same day. Werner von Braun stands on the roof of the rocket assembly building. The horizon flickers. American bombs falling on Politz, on Brooks, on Wiener Neustadt. Each flash is a footnote to his dream of the moon. He has calculated that a V-2 rocket requires 6 tons of liquid oxygen. 6 tons of oxygen require 12 tons of industrial electricity. 12 tons of electricity require 24 tons of coal. 24 tons of coal require 48 tons of rail freight. He traces the chain backward until it ends at a ball bearing the size of a cherry. The bearing must spin at 20,000 revolutions per minute without ceasing. The bearing must be round. The bearing factory at Schweinfurt now produces ovals. He looks up. The sky's not dark. It is blueprinted. A lattice of contrails still glowing in the after sunset. The bombers are flying east, toward Berlin, toward him. He realizes that the war has become a recursive equation. Every variable depends on a previous answer, and the Americans have solved the previous answer yesterday. He folds his hands behind his back, a professor admiring a student's perfect proof. The proof is elegant. The proof is terrible. The 04 Berlin, 26 February 1944, 03 Wund, the final night of Big Week. Galland stands on the roof of the Hotel Kaiserhof. The city is a negative. White snow, black ruins, red fires. Above, the bombers return westward. Contrails silver against moonlight. They fly higher than searchlights, higher than prayers. He counts them not individually, but in formation. Boxes of 18, 21, 24. The boxes do not break. They simply diminish into the horizon, like chalk lines erased by a sleeve. He reaches into his pocket and withdraws the folded photograph, the unendlich print. He holds it up. The real sky aligns with the image. The contrails in the photograph are thicker than the ones above him. That means more bombers came yesterday than today. The curve is peaking. He feels, and the feeling arrives like a tourniquet, loosened a flicker of relief. Not victory, not hope, simply less tomorrow. Then the telephone rings inside. Hartman shouts from the doorway, "Luna! They've hit Luna! The synthetic fuel plant firestorm!" Galland closes his eyes. Luna is the last major fuel source. Without Luna, the Luftwaffe will taxi, not fly. Without taxi, there is no takeoff. Without takeoff, the bombers will come unopposed. The photograph again. Now he sees what he missed. The contrails are not lines. They are tally marks. Each mark is a day. The days are numbered. 05, same dawn, a roadside outside Braunschweig. A column of trucks idles, engines running low on ersatz fuel brewed from coal dust and prayer. Aboard are pilots of JG-54, transferred east to escape the bombers. They smoke in silence. One, Lieutenant Walter Luce, 19 victories, steps down, walks to a snowbank, and vomits. Not from fear, but from arithmetic. Yesterday, the Gruppe flew 30 sorties. Today, can fly 12. Tomorrow, he wipes his mouth, looks up. A single B-17 straggler, damaged, limps overhead at 5,000 feet. Alone, trailing oil smoke like a bleeding whale. The tail gunner is dead. The waist windows are empty. The bomber is defenseless. Luz reaches for his sidearm, a signal pistol, loaded with a white flare. "I claim this kill." He hesitates. The bomber is so low he can see the name painted beneath the cockpit. Willow Run Express. The same factory that builds the bombers is named on the bomber. The loop is closed. He lowers the pistol. The bomber drones on, westward, toward England, toward tomorrow. Luce watches until it disappears. Then he climbs back into the truck. The convoy moves east, deeper into distance, into irrelevance. 06 Berlin, 1st March 1944, the day after big weekends. Galland enters the ruins of the Air Ministry. The ceiling has collapsed. Snow drifts across the marble floor where Göring once paraded in white uniform. A clerk hands him a clipboard. Luftwaffe, fighter strength. For March 1944, serviceable single-engine fighters, 1 No-95 pilot strength, 915 fuel reserve, high octane. 18 days, he signs the bottom line without reading it. His signature, once a flourish, is now a shorthand. G. He walks to the only intact window. Outside, a column of smoke still rises from Leuna, a black finger pointing west. He places his fingers on the glass. It is cold. The cold is truth. He speaks, to no one, to everyone. We have not lost the air war. We have exhausted the sky. 07. Epilogue, same night, 02. Galland sits alone in the Kaiserhof's wine cellar, candles guttering. On the table before him, the folded photograph, contrails infinite. A Knight's Cross ribbon, faded. A B-17 rudder fragment, aluminium, still bearing the stencil, Willow Run Express, recovered from a crash site near Potsdam. He lifts the metal, holds it to the candle. The Iron Cross is scarred shrapnel from France, 1940. He reverses it. The reverse is smooth, untouched. He presses the hot candle tip against the smooth side. The metal blackens. He does not stop until the swastika is obliterated. Then he pins the metal, faceless to the rudder fragment, driving the pin through the aluminium until it squeals. He sets the impromptu reliquary upright on the table. The candlelight catches the raw edge of the rudder, a wound that will never heal, because aluminium does not scab. He whispers to the metal, to the rudder, to the photograph, to himself. You taught us that war is no longer a doctrine. It is a question you must answer every single day. And you never stop asking. Outside, the sirens begin again, higher, closer, louder. He does not run to the shelter. He sits, cigarette burning to the filter, watching the candlelight flicker across the contrails in the photograph frozen, infinite, unanswerable. The ceiling above him cracks. Plaster drifts down like snow. He closes his eyes. The bombers are not coming. They are already here. They are tomorrow. And tomorrow never stops.